The road clings to the hillside round the waters of the Killary, a long fjord which cuts like a shard of glass into Ireland's Atlantic coast. There's wind and driving rain, and then, as if a heavenly hand had flicked a light switch, a lone spotlight of sun shines onto the heather and bracken. Ludwig Wittgenstein, mathematician, engineer, architect, and to many one of the greatest of philosophers, hankered after solitude. He certainly found it here. A plaque on the side of a rather shabby-looking bungalow says that in 1948 he stayed 6 months, writing up what would be his final work. I'm trying to track down a local man, a fisherman, who, it's said, might be able to tell me something about the great thinker's time out here on the fringes of Europe. Doors are knocked on. A dog barks. Gulls shriek. My father, who used to give him milk and spuds when he was here, said he was mad, says the fisherman. You'd hardly get a word out of him. I wasn't born to see him, but my father would talk all about the strange German who'd sit for hours on a rock looking at the gulls. Wittgenstein would work all night and spend the days ranging round the small fields criss-crossed with stone walls. He hardly ever slept. For all his strangeness, my father said he had a great way with nature. All the small birds would come and eat from his hand. Wittgenstein, though he was a compulsive writer, produced relatively little published material. His writings are precious, worth a small fortune now. There was talk that he left behind piles of notebooks in Ireland. Did your father come across any of them, I ask? I remember a few years back, says the fisherman, a taxi arrives from Dublin Airport. A German book dealer says he'll pay thousands for just a scrap of your man's writing. Kept the taxi out there waiting for 3 hours. Now my father had to tell him, yes, there were notebooks and stacks of paper, but what to do with them? Well, we kept poultry at the time, so my father decides to use the whole lot as chicken litter. He leans back, a faraway look in his eyes. All that money gone so the chickens could be bedded down nice and comfortable. Perhaps the great philosopher would have been pleased. Wittgenstein had little regard for his own work, saying what he wrote was not important. What was significant, he said, was what he didn't write.